And tonight, community leaders say even though the suspect was flagged for a mental health evaluation, the hateful words found online should have caught the attention of authorities. Liz Lewin is live with more of their reaction. Liz?
Well, Mary Alice, I can tell you we're outside of Tops, and it is more quiet than I've ever heard it in 35 years. But that sense of sadness is ringing very loudly as it continues to these few days later. We're hearing from lawmakers and community leaders who are trying to find ways to stop these kind of hate crimes from happening in the future. As you know, Governor Hochul taking serious action in hopes of doing just that. But I spoke to two local leaders who say first things first, we need to be honest enough to call this action what it is.
If you are silent, you are in agreement.
As hours turn into days, the Buffalo community continues to grieve. That grief, for many, now turning into anger.
At the end of the day, let's call it what it is. Let's call it evil, and let's move on and take care of these families.
According to police in the manifesto and footage the shooter left behind, he had a clear intention, an intention to kill black people, black Americans, simply because of the color of their skin. Police say last year the shooter was questioned after he reportedly said his post-graduation goal was to commit murder-suicide. Then he was placed under arrest and forced to have a mental health evaluation. However, he was found not to be a threat and was released. We later now know he passed a background check and was able to purchase the weapon used to commit the murders at Tops. But Bishop Darius Pridgen says,
with all of the homicide funerals I've done, with all of the young people that have been arrested in the city of Buffalo for murder, I've never been asked about their mental health, not one time. So I wonder, what's the difference? Nobody says when an 18-year-old takes a life and he's of color, oh, I wonder about his mental health.
Do we need our elected officials, our law enforcement officials to unabashedly be clear based on the evidence that they had that was left for them to call this what it was?
I think that we should expect every leader to call it what it is. You have people out there who really have mental health issues, and they're not going around planning.
And many have, including Erie County Sheriff John Garcia, who says he will not be referring to the shooter by name.
Why did you feel it was so important to be very clear about what you saw this to be?
For me, it was very obvious from the beginning that it was a hate crime, and his hate was directed towards African Americans. From the time that we received the evidence that was coming in, it was clear. I wanted people to know exactly what happened, why it happened.
Now, the focus shifts to preventing this type of crime, with the governor issuing executive orders like the one to track extremist threats on social media.
We're going to have to see if there's any legislation that can be passed where we balance the freedom of speech with, at the same time, being able to get ahead of these demented people that cause so much damage. And Elizabeth, we have to come together and figure it out.
Well, Mary Alice, Bishop Darius Pridgen also tells me one of the things he's doing as a member of the Common Council is to look into the city's Department of Human Rights. Yes, if you didn't know, that's the exact department that looks into things like hate crimes. You can call them and you can report it. Right now, he says they are underfunded, but not for long. He's hoping that will change very soon. We're here on Jefferson. Liz Lewin, Channel 2 News.